Heidi, good morning to you. Talk to us first about Pamela Pala, a senior manager there in the legal division at the PIC. Yesterday she spoke about a particular culture at the PIC and that at some point she actually even was spied on.
Exactly. So yesterday we heard from Pamela Pala, who is a senior manager in the legal department at the PIC, and her testimony relied heavily on her experience there and how the legal department services at the PIC has really deteriorated over the years. And she spoke about her experience, about how she has been spied on, what she calls the top two at the PIC, and how her position has been completely diluted. Something else she also mentioned was the fact that legal services within the PIC are not being utilized to their full capacity, and a number of executives and staff members within the PIC are rather using external legal services, which of course is putting a large amount of pressure on the PIC budgets, creating an exorbitant amount with them using those external legal services. She also explained how she had been referred to as the Barry Roo within the PIC, the Barry Roo meaning that she's a heavy legal enforcer within the PIC, but she also explained how she has also been described as the victim within the PIC because she has not been taken seriously. Serious matters have been given to what she explained to her subordinates, and being completely sidelined in terms of serious legal matters within the PIC. So that was her experience and is her experience at the PIC in terms of the legal department.
Heidi, we know that just before lunch, the VBS Mutual Bank saga, or should we say investment, will be discussed again. Talk to us about this individual, Kaya Zonke. What role did he play?
Exactly. So Kaya Zonke was one of the individuals in the PIC that was involved in the VBS Mutual Bank transaction in terms of ensuring that there was no, distresses when it came to that specific transaction, to see if there were any signals in terms of it being a bad transaction, looking at the financial performance of VBS Mutual Bank. But something that he mentioned, which is very important to note, was that everybody blaming the PIC for them investing into VBS Mutual Bank and giving them that credit loan facility of over 350 million. And he basically saying that it is not just the PIC's fault because of that transaction going bad. You must remember that the PIC lost over 450 million rand when it came to that VBS transaction, and him basically saying that it is not just the PIC's fault because they relied heavily on external and internal auditors, that being the PwC and the external auditors being KPMG. And because it was a mutual bank, National Treasury, they also relied heavily on National Treasury. So a lot of people still need to answer as to why things weren't made clear from day one, and why things went so bad with VBS. But Zonke is saying it is not just the PIC's fault because there were a lot of eyes on this transaction and a lot of key players involved in that.
Another individual's name which came up yesterday, Heidi, Iqbal Survey and his independent media group. Talk to us about that particular transaction, and despite the risks that were flagged, the deal still went through.
Exactly. So Iqbal Survey has been mentioned a number of times in this inquiry because of the number of investments that the PIC has made into a number of his companies, such as Air Technology Solutions. But yesterday, independent media was brought to light because of that transaction the PIC got involved in with them of an investment of over 2 billion rand. But what was significant about yesterday's testimony from Benedict Mongalo was that he spoke about the risk reports that were written with regards to independent media's transaction, and how risks such as where print media is heading to and how it's constantly declining, how independent media needs to come up with a plan to deal with the migration to the digital space because of how print media is declining. How one of the risks mentioned was the fact that Iqbal Survey, what the PIC picked up was the fact that he has no experience in terms of any kind of media, be it print or digital, and that was a major concern as well. The PIC even, with its biggest client being the Government Employees Pension Fund, approached them and said, this is the investment that we want to get involved in. And Government Employees Pension Fund saying, well, let's get an external assessment to figure out whether or not this is a good transaction to get involved in. With that being Standard Bank getting putting together an assessment, and them also picking up the similar risks that the PIC picked up. The fact that print is declining, the fact that its main sponsor was Iqbal Survey, who doesn't have much experience within the media space, which was those were the risks that were mentioned. But despite all of this, the investment pushed on. So it will be interesting to see whether or not that will be in the light again today at this inquiry, and whether more questions will be answered with regards to that specific transaction into independent media.
All right, Heidi Jokos will leave it there for the moment. She is at the PIC inquiry in Pretoria, keeping an eye on that particular story.